Hi and welcome. My name is Garnet and I'm making this video in response to what Crystal from Bag-O-Day Crochet was asking about supporting Lionbrand Yarns hat, not hate, and making hats and donating them to Lionbrand's company. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make this particular hat. It has a little ribbing, a mock V-stitch, and it will fit real nice. The yarn that I will be using is Mandala from Lionbrand and appropriately named Harmony. We know that many people experience bullying. I have experienced bullying through my life. I am 62 years old. Yes, I dye my hair. And I have had many shares of times of bullying. But we got to remember too, some people don't know how to handle this, and some people don't know how to ask questions on how this can stop. They need to seek help, but they don't know how to go about it. So what we are doing is we're trying to encourage folks to try and be negative, not be negative, to reach out to people, to be their friend, to encourage positivity. It's so sad to hear about many situations and circumstances of where bullying could have been prevented. So I admire Lionbrand Yarns into reaching out to people to ask to help contribute to this program. So in the meanwhile, I would like for you to also participate. At the end of the video, there is an address to mail it to Lionbrand Yarns, the completion of your hat. If you choose to make many, they will accept it. They accept it with the choice of the color blue. Any other shade, but the dominant color, they would like for it to be blue. There's also a website that you can go to. It's called hatnothate.com. So let's get started in this video, and I hope you enjoy making this hat. At the end, say a prayer for the hat so that the receiver will also receive the blessings that you ask them to have through that prayer. God does work in mysterious ways. So let's get started. The materials and the tools that we will be using to make this hat: Lionbrand Yarns Mandala Ombre in the color Harmony. I have a crochet hook here that is a size I9 5.5 millimeter, a tapestry needle, and a pair of scissors. Before we begin, I like to encourage you to find the center of your skein, if this is how you choose to do it, and pull out some yarn, and you will find the beginning. I'm going to take a minute to find mine. I finally found mine. It was in the center of a small ball. So I encourage you to go ahead and pull out some more so that we can have the proper tension. We're going to get started here with a magic circle. So to make our magic circle, we want to have an ample sized tail so that we can weave this in later. So go ahead and take it and wrap it around 2 fingers until you have like an X on your fingers. Go under the first loop, pull up your working yarn, and then complete a chain stitch. To me, it's kind of cumbersome, but it does the job. Tighten that first chain stitch and then chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then place 11 double crochets into the center of our magic circle. Now, I know I did one quite quickly, but let me show you how to make a double crochet. Place your finger on top of that loop, have the hook go under your working yarn, then take your hook and go through the center of the circle and bring that yarn back. Go under the yarn again and pull the hook through 2 loops that was on the hook, and then yarn under the working yarn again and pull it through the next 2 loops. In this case, remember, our chain 3 will always count as a double crochet. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue on till you have a total of 12. Now we need to take the tail from our magic circle, place your finger and thumb over the last stitches you made, and go ahead and pull. You want to pull it tight enough to close your circle, but not too tight that it'll break. Do not cut your yarn yet. We will weave it in a few more rows. So let it go ahead and hang down. Now here are chain 3. We want to count up 3 chains. 1, 2, 3, and in that top one we're going to make a slip stitch. So insert your hook and pull that loop through the stitching and through the loop that was on your hook. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to start our second row. In that same stitch that we made our slip stitch, we're going to place a double crochet. Remember, our chain 3 will count as a double crochet. So that considers right here 2 double crochets in this 1 stitch space. Our next stitch, which is very close to that chain stitch, we're going to be placing 2 double crochets. And in each stitch around, we're going to place 2 double crochets. The total of double crochets for this row will be 24. Please continue around to the end and I'll show you how to finish the row. Now you'll notice that at the end of this row we have what looks like we should put a stitch there. We don't want to. That was part of our slip stitch. So making sure that you have 24 double crochets, including your chain 3, we're going to count to the top of our chain 3 and slip stitch this row closed. I like to pick up 2 parts of my chain so that way I know I'm not stretching the stitches out. Chain 3, and we're going to do this row one more time. As we did before, we're going to place 2 stitches per stitch around. At the end of this row, you should have 48 stitches. So right here, where we slip stitched, we're going to place our first double crochet, remembering our chain 3 is still considered a double crochet. So here we have 1, 2, and into that next stitch, here's 3, and a second one in here, that makes it 4. So over these 2 stitches we have 4 stitches. We're going to go 2 per stitch around. Please pause your video. Now remember, at the end of this row you will see where you slip stitch looks like a stitch. So be sure to count, and after you have your 48, we're going to go to the top of that chain 3 again and slip stitch this row closed. And this is what we have. I love this color of harmony. It's kind of a denim look, but the way that the yarn is made is fantastic. The coloring, if you look at it, is not solid, and it gives it a really awesome pattern. I really like it. So for our next row, we're going to chain 3, and in that same stitch that we did our slip stitch, we'll double crochet. In our first stitch, we're going to do 1 double crochet. In our second stitch, 1 double crochet, and in our third stitch, 1 double crochet. So here we have 2, 1, 1, 1. In our next stitch, we will have 2 double crochet. So what we're going to do now is repeat what we just done. So we have 2 double crochet in 1. We're going to do 3 single double crochets, and then in the next one, 2 double crochets. So continue that repeat around. I'll meet you at the end of the row. So at the end of this row, you should have 60 stitches. Looks like a little ripply, but it'll be okay. So let's tie in our magic circle. So we're going to enlarge our chain at the end of the row here and pull out our tail for our magic circle. With our yarn needle, place your yarn in between your 4 fingers like this. Bring your needle up from behind and then squeeze it tight using your fingernail to create a little loop. Take that little loop and work it through the eye of your needle. The reason why I do this is sometimes when you use the cut end of your yarn, it can cause it to fray. We don't want that. So where our magic circle is coming out, it's telling me that it was going this way. So we're going to go around one more time through as many stitches that we can, because these magic circles are designed just to have that one loop of yarn. Sometimes it would be easier to double loop it, but if you don't pull the right loop at the right time, it can cause it not to do what it's supposed to be doing. So after we've gone around it the second time, go over one of these parts of the stitch, because when you go backwards, you don't want it to come out. Okay, so we're going to lock this stitch in that we did. You see how it helps it not to come back out? And then we're going to go over another stitch and weave back. and then one more time. Okay, and then we can go ahead and cut it. And that'll make it so that it won't come out. I'm going to cut it with just like a little 1/4 inch, so if it does stretch, it'll be fine. And you notice how when we tug and pull, we still have that little 1/4 inch tail right there. Alright, so let's get back to finishing our row. So to finish this row, we went ahead and placed our hook into that loop and then tighten the loop down. Now this row we're going to start a little bit differently. We're going to go right into between the chain and that first double crochet, and we're going to make our slip stitch. And this is going to start our repeated row of our pattern. So chain 3, and in that same space, notice we're not really doing a stitch. We're going into the same space, make a double crochet. Now in the next stitch, we're going to place 2 double crochet, we're going to skip the next stitch, and into the next stitch 2 double crochet. So you notice here we have 1, 2, 3 sets of 2 so far. Now the previous row we had 2 double crochets in that one stitch. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go between them. We're not going to pick up the 2, we're going to go between the 2 and place 2 double crochet. And this is what we have so far. I confess I had to pull more yarn out. Okay, so now this is our repeat. So between looking at your previous rows, you got your 2 here, your 2 here, and your 3 singles. This is your, whoops, I went too high. This is your previous row. Okay, so in the 2 from the previous row, we placed our 2. Now in the next stitch, this is our repeat, remember. Next stitch, we're placing 2 double crochets, we're skipping the next stitch, and in the next one 2 double crochets, and then the 2 from the previous row, we're going to go between the 2 stitches and do 2 double crochets. Let me show you one more time, and then I'm going to let you go on your row, finish this row by yourself rather. So here's our 2 from the previous row and our 2 that we just completed, and we got our 3 in between. So 2 goes right here, we're going to skip this one, 2 goes right here, and 2 will go in between the stitching right here. So let's do our 2 in the stitch. Skip 1, and in the next one 2. Okay, now here where the 2 is, see, we want to go in between the stitching, so we want to go below all that, because when we do our next row, it's all going to be below it. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We have 2 double crochets together. It's not really considered a V-stitch because a V-stitch would have a chain in between, and we don't have that chain. So continue on around. At the end of this row, you should have 36 sets of 2 double crochets. So continue on, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Oh, this is looking good. Now I know yours probably wobbled up a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. Now that we have our basis for our pattern, we're going to continue on and make it so that this not a V-stitch, the double, the 2 double crochet, tongue twister for me, is going to carry on. So we have our chain 3 and our first double crochet. Let's go in between those two and do our slip stitch. Chain 3, and in that same stitch, double crochet. Now if you counted your stitches around, you should have 64 stitches, but you have the 36 2 double crochets. So the rest is going to be very simple. We just go in between the 2 double crochets from the previous row and place 2 double crochets. But first I wanted to show you, you see that third one right here? You got your V on the top and you got that one there. We're going to go below that, so that way when we place our stitch in, we won't see it when it gets on the on your head. So this is what we have so far, and let's move on to the next one. And the nice thing about this is there's no chain stitches involved except for the beginning of the row. All right. Okay, so this is what we have. Like I said before, I love these colors. I think it's amazing. Lionbrand does amazing when the colors that they create. So keep going around. We are going to do this right now for a total of 12 to 15 rows. I would like for you to try it on your head to make sure that it goes to the length that you want, either below your ears or enough that you can fold up. So I'm going to show you how to count these rows. Remember our very center, that's our magic circle center. So this is row 1, row 2, row 3, 4, 5. This is row 6. Okay. Now as you add these rows on, you're going to notice that it's not going to keep going out, but it's going to start cupping up like this. And that's what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to encourage you to keep doing this for a series of rows, remembering to slip stitch in between the chain 3 and the double crochet at the beginning of the row. So continue that for a total of 12 rows. See how it fits, and if you have to add more, I encourage you to do that. So I'll see you in a few minutes, so please pause your video, be sure to get up and stretch your legs, maybe get something to drink. So see you in just a minute. So I know yours is turning out just as nice as mine is. I ended up doing a total of 15 rows. Next, we're going to end up doing our ribbing. So to do our ribbing, we have where we slip stitched to close this joint. So we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet, 1 per stitch all the way around. When you get to the end, I'll show you how to start the second row. Please pause your video. The next couple of rows are going to be front post and back post double crochets. So to do a front post, yarn over your hook, and we're going to go take the hook and go between the stitches, and you'll notice that the post is in the front of the hook. So we're going to pull over a loop and bring it up, over through 2 and over through 2. And you can see how it pulls that stitch up just a little bit. The next one we'll be doing is the back post. So yarn over, and then you're going to reach in from behind to go over that stitch. Then you bring your yarn over your hook, come through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And you can see how it pulls it to the back. When you have a series of these, it'll create a ribbing. So let's continue on. We're going to do another front post, double crochet, and a back post, double crochet. All right, we're going to continue this all the way around the hat. Once you get to the end, you'll slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, and then front post in front of the front post, and back post with the back post. Please do this for a total of 4 rows. So we have our first row, our second row. That means we'll have 2 more rows after completing this row. And I'll see you in a few minutes. I can say that the addition of this ribbing pattern sure looks great. So to finish this off, we want to have a nice little tail, about 6 inches. And we're going to go ahead and pull it through our loop. Remember, you had to slip stitch at the top of the chain 3. Then you want to turn it to the inside. We're going to load our needle again. Then weave in and out of some of the chain. I like to go down a few rows, then come across. I'm going to go behind some of these stitches here and give it a little stretch so it'll work with the wearing of the hat. Then go over 1, come down a few stitches, and give it a little stretch again. Then come over the 1 and back through. So when we cut our yarn, just cut it with a little 1/4 inch and pull it back a little and see how we have it went in. So this is the completion of our hat. It looks really, really nice. I hope you enjoyed this hat tutorial that I made for Lionbrand yarns. I hope you contact their website. Right here, I have a mailing address where after you create your hat, we would like for you to donate it to the Lionbrand company. This is the address, Hat Not Hate, Lionbrand Yarn Company, 140 Kiro Road, Carlstad, New Jersey, 07072. They ask that you mail it in before August 1st and send them as many as you can. They would really appreciate it. So, I'd like to say thank you for coming to see me today. I hope that this hat inspires you to stop the bullying, encourage negative comments, and recognize when you see something not correct happening, to hopefully interact and stop. So, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy this hat, and I hope you donate your hats to Lionbrand. On my channel, I do have some additional hats you may want to choose to do, or there are many extras on YouTube that you can do as well. Lionbrand also has a pattern site that you can use their patterns with. So until next time, thank you very much, and bye-bye.